Hello and welcome in our YouTube channel Metallurgical Facts. So in this video series we are doing metallurgical engineering question practice for HAL management trainee exam, and this is part 6 of this video series. As you are aware that this exam now they postponed this exam, and we don't know about the dates. So now we have enough time for doing the practice of these questions for metallurgical engineering question. And after a little break I also came with a few videos for HAL management training exam. So hope these videos will be beneficial for your preparation purpose. Okay, so try to do these questions and try to focus on non-core part also. So the first question is that a mixed dislocation can be categorized by one of the following. So the first option is the angle between the dislocation line and its Berger vector is 0. So this B part is the angle between the dislocation line and its Berger vector is 45, and the angle between the dislocation line and Berger vector is 90 degree, and D part is any of the above. Okay, so this question is not this option is not correct, that is any of the above, because the angle between the dislocation line and its Berger vector is 0 when this is screw dislocation case. Okay, so this is basically screw dislocation. Also we can say that this dislocation line and Berger vector is parallel. Okay, so this dislocation line is parallel to this Berger vector, then this is screw dislocation case. So this option is also not correct. So C option is the angle between the dislocation line and its Berger vector is 90 degree, means perpendicular case. Okay, so this is the perpendicular case, so we can say that this is edge dislocation basically. Okay, so this is the example of edge dislocation. Next option is B part, that is angle between this dislocation line and Berger vector is 45. Okay, so in many of the material dislocation are found where the dislocation line and Berger vector are neither perpendicular or nor parallel, but these dislocations are in that case these dislocations are called as mixed dislocation. Okay, so when the case where there will be not parallel or not perpendicular case, so that will known as mixed dislocation, and sometimes that have angle of 45 degree. Okay, so this B part is correct here. So B part is correct answer for this question. So the first question is purpose of secondary steel making. So they have given three statements, that is inclusion control, chemical composition adjustment, and degassing. So there are many purpose of secondary steel making, and the important one are the modification of morphology. Okay, so modification of morphology is one. You can write down these things. This is very important terms. This is the purpose, this is the aim of the secondary steel making. The next one is degassing. Okay, so there are many degassers we use for removing the entrapped gases. Okay, so the third thing is to produce quality steel, or you can say the clean steel. So quality improvement also may be done through this secondary steel making. The fourth one is inclusion control. So inclusion control is a section by which in which we treat the steel by the slags. Okay, synthetic slags, and we do the inclusion control by those processes. Okay, and fifth one is chemical composition adjustment. Okay, so chemical composition adjustment is also done by secondary steel making. Okay, so this is very important part of steel making, that is secondary steel making. And here from this list we can see that inclusion control is in our list. So first statement is correct, chemical composition adjustment is also correct, and degassing is also correct. So 1 2 3 is correct answer for this question. So A part is correct. The next question is superplastic materials have an index of strain rate sensitivity M in the range of. Okay, so one of the formula that you must have heard about, the power law. So this sigma is equals to A d epsilon by d dt the power m. Okay, so this m is basically strain rate sensitivity, and this m is equals to 0.2 for common metals, for general metals. Okay, metals or alloys, and this m value will be 0.4 to 0.4 to 0.9 if the material exhibits superplastic behavior. Okay, so what is this superplastic behavior? This is basically the behavior at it means that the metals that is deformed by several 100 percentage of strain without necking, so it can sustain the larger stress. Okay, so this means this superplastic means that that is deformed by the several 100 percentage of strain without necking. Okay, so the examples of superplastic are some of the stainless steel, some of the stainless steels are the example, and aluminum alloys are also example of superplastic material. Okay, so so the main quality that they possess are they have very fine grain size. So only if they have very fine grain size, they will be show the superplastic behavior. Okay, so for this question, I have already told you that this m is equals to 0.0.4 to 0.9 for the superplastic material. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is C part. If they will ask about the common metals, we will put 0.2. Okay, this is for common metals. The next question is, in vacuum degassing of steel, 14 ppm of dissolved nitrogen is in equilibrium with 1 millibar. So 1 millibar is pressure and 14 ppm is content of dissolved nitrogen. Okay, so that is at temperature 1873 Kelvin. At same temperature, if the pressure is lowered to 0.7 millibar, the equilibrium nitrogen content in ppm. So they are asking about if we will lower the pressure, what will happen with the nitrogen content. Okay, so one law that is applicable for the dissolved content of element in liquid steels, that is Sievert's law. If suppose this content of that element is x, so x is equals to k under root of px2, that is partial pressure of that element. Okay, so this is the Sievert's law. So this is the Sievert's law. This is the content and this is the partial pressure of that element. Okay, so in this case they have given that x1 value is 14 ppm, that is content at what partial pressure, that is 1 millibar. Okay, so this I can write x1, so 1 millibar, and if we will talk about x2, so that is 0.7 ppm. Okay, and the px2 we have to find. So this is px1, px2. So what we can do from here, from this formula, we can easily relate we can easily remove this k constant value, because they are asking about the same things, same temperature range. So what we will get x proportional to px x2. Okay, so that is the under root of partial pressure of that element. Okay, so from here we can get one relation, that is x1 by x2 is equals to under root of px1 upon px2. Okay, so what we will get, one equation, that is 14 by x1. We will put the value and we will get the answer. So we can find the x2 value, that is uh, x2 will be 14 multiplied by 0.7, so this value will be 11.71. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is 11.71. So simply we can apply the Sievert's law, which is applicable for the dissolved gases into the liquid steels. Okay, so this Sievert's law I have already told in previous videos of RINL fifth or fourth part. Okay, so you can watch that video for the details of the Sievert's law, and here we solve the numerical problem related to the Sievert's law. Okay. So the next question is, which one of the following can avoid weld decay of austenitic stainless steel? Okay, so weld decay is a problem for stainless steel, austenitic stainless steel. Okay, so this is also known as intergranular corrosion or problem during the intergranular corrosion. So options are given, that is A part is reducing carbon content, B part is increasing carbon content, C part is eliminating strong carbide formers, D part is decreasing chromium content. Okay, so for this question we will see what what can reduce this type of problem, or what can avoid the weld decay of austenitic stainless steel. How we can avoid the stainless how we can avoid the weld decay of stainless steel. Okay, so first point is the carbon percentage. Okay, so if we will able to reduce this carbon percentage, we will reduce by reducing the carbon level in austenitic stainless steel up to 0.05%, we can avoid this phenomena. Okay, so the next is there is only three way for avoiding the well decay of austenitic stainless steel. Okay, so first one is the carbon percentage. So if we will avoid, if we will able to reduce the carbon percentage, we can avoid the well decay. So the next thing is by quenching. Okay, by quenching of austenitic stainless steel or stainless steel. By quenching of the stainless steel from a high temperature, the from a high temperature to prevent the chromium carbide formation. Okay, so if we will able anyhow we will able to prevent this carbide precipitation formation, so this will also avoid the weld decay. So by quenching the stainless steel from a high enough temperature to prevent chromium carbide, we can avoid weld decay. So the third one by adding sorry, by adding carbide formers. Okay, so what are the carbide formers? So basically these are the niobium and titanium in this type of steels. Okay, so by adding the strong carbide forming elements to the steels such as niobium and titanium, so that carbon that will react to this niobium and titanium, and they will form a carbide of that elements. And by forming the titanium and niobium carbide, they will not form the much chromium carbide. Okay, so by that way we can avoid belt decay of austenitic stainless also. So now we will see the options. So reducing the carbon content. Okay, so this option is correct for this question. Reducing the carbon content can avoid the well decay. We already see the explanation for this part. Okay, increasing the carbon content, this option doesn't make any sense because reducing is already correct. Eliminating strong carbide formers, we cannot eliminate a strong carbide formers for avoiding the well decay, because in the third part we already told that by adding the carbide formers we can prevent the well decay. So the D part is decreasing chromium content, this is also not correct. Okay, so we cannot decrease the chromium content up to the certain level in stainless steel. Okay, so the correct option for this question is A part. Reducing the carbon content can avoid well decay of austenitic stainless steel. Thank you guys for your attention. Hope you have understood something new in this video, and you have understood the concepts I told you in this video. We will come with some more videos in this video series. Try to do the practice of metallurgical questions with this practice series, and try to share these videos with your friends so that they may also practice the questions for the HAL management training exam. Thank you.